What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning back into the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and thumbs up button if you like the video. And feel free to comment anything you want down below in the comments on this video. So, on today's video, we're going to be working on putting back this 1986 Arctic Eltigre 6000 engine, which is a 530cc liquid-cooled, oil-injected Suzuki two-stroke motor. It is two-cylinder, as you can see, and here I will show you what has happened. I have the piston inside, but if in the previous videos when we tore it apart, you can see this cylinder was scored really bad. The piston was terrible, and then the other cylinder, which the cylinder jog is still remarkably good, there was a chunk missing out of the piston, so that's why we have to rebuild it. And while I'm here, I bought a whole new Winderosa gasket kit for this engine because we are going to be doing this engine right. And I also have brand new old stock pistons for you, pistons and rings, genuine Suzuki new old stock parts, because we aren't going to cheap out on this, so we don't have to rebuild it like 500 miles again. This motor should last really good, because we're going to be using all top of the line parts. But first, before we even start tearing into the bottom end of this motor, you can see my workbench is an absolute mess. So I'm going to have to clean this workbench up real quick. I'm going to put you some time lapse for that, and then we will get started right into the working on this motor. So as you can see, got my workbench all cleaned off, all that clutter and all the tools there. So we won't have to deal with that clutter while rebuilding a motor, because that makes it 10 times more difficult. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the shroud that goes around the flywheel and the water pump, because the sled is a liquid cooled sled. It's got a water pump and a belt to drive the water pump. Kind of wish they would figure out a better way to drive a water pump other than the belt on this sled. Because if your belt goes, and then you're screwed. So I might be actually just throw a new belt on there. It feels pretty good, but I don't really want to take a risk of the belt breaking and my motor overheating and I'm like 50 miles away, because that would not be good. So the main reason we're going to be pulling this flywheel, I know I said in the prior videos that I don't want to pull the bottom end apart anyway, but I'm going to, because I want to put these new, well, I don't know if I'm going to, but I'm at least going to take the flywheel off and the clutch over there so I can put my new Winderosa crank seals in. So as you can see, I did get a whole new gasket set for this motor, and I also did get a Vertex, which apparently Vertex owns Winderosa. I'm not really sure. That's what it said on their website. So I did get two fuel pump rebuild kits for this sled, because the sled has two fuel pumps, and when you go to buy these, you have to order two, because it is for one fuel pump, not two. But I just opened the one box and threw them both in here so I could consolidate my stuff, so it wasn't, piled all up. And one thing to note, if it is a deal breaker for you, these Vertex, every package, they come with a free sticker, so I got two of them because I ordered two, and so does the Winderosa, came with a sticker too. So I put those on my sled already. And hopefully in the upcoming videos we're going to be pulling the sled in here and actually dropping this motor in once we rebuild it. But enough jabbering. I'm gonna get this thing torn apart, and I already did start trying to loosen some of them. I got some of them out, some of them I did not get out because they are rusted in there. I should say, I don't think rusted because this is aluminum, so corroded in there. And so we're going to have to end up drilling out a few of them, but we're going to try our best to get as many out as possible, and I'm going to stop talking now, and we're going to get right to it. Alright, so we ended up getting most of them out. We have 2 to drill out, which isn't too bad. This one, I was expecting it because you can see how rusted that one is. This one, I thought I should have been able to get out. Just couldn't get it. I actually had this one, I thought, moving a little bit, and then I went to go back and forth, try to get it to go, and I just had no luck, and it stripped out because the metal was so soft. That one, I might try a little bit more, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to drill that one out, unfortunately. So we're going to get to drilling these things out. You can see I got the shroud off. When I drilled it out, the heads of these screws actually ended up breaking off. So I'm going to see if I can get a vice grip on them and maybe take them out maybe tomorrow. But we're going to pull this off right here and possibly this. Just check it out. I am going to plan on putting a new hose on here. But as you can see, a water pump kind of looks exactly like a car. Water pump, just way smaller. And here you can see inside of it. And we're going to be putting new gaskets on everything, as I said. So I'm going to take this off real quick, and we should be able to take it apart. So these bolts right here and here are a 10mm classic. You can tell they're metric because the marking on them 7. They don't have the lines like American standard bolts have. These are metric, and also it is a Suzuki, which is made in Japan, so it's automatically going to be metric. So we're going to take these bolts off. Going to make sure not to lose them, even though we probably could get new ones. It probably all says in the service manual, which I do have, and I'm going to be following the exact procedure how to rebuild this engine using that service manual or shop manual, whatever you want to call it, to rebuild this motor, because I rebuilt motors in the past, but this one I want it to be tip-top shape, the best motor, run like brand new. Not to say that the other motors I rebuilt didn't, but I want this one to be exactly like the book. I don't want to have any issues, anything. Like, I have the service manual, might as well follow it, just because why not? So I'm also going to pull this pulley off because I want to check what the water pump looks like. These bolts are very small, so we're going to end up putting all these bolts back in because we don't want to lose these bolts. Because as you can see, they are different sizes. Here's a bolt from the thing that the bolt start grips on, from the pulley on the water pump. You can see the difference. Bolt start, water pump. They do look the same from the front, other than one has a 7, the other does not, but they are different bolts. So the water pump seems to move nice and everything. Everything seems to work. I know it was working before because I was pushing coolant. I could see that. The belt actually does look like it's still good, really good condition. It flexes decent and everything. There's even a part number on it. It's a Mitsubishi. I know it seems like Mitsubishi, but it's not spelled the same. So I'm guessing this is still factory because the sled only does have 860 miles on it. The reason the motor blew up was because the oil injection line, there's a main oil injection line coming from the oil injection pump, and then there's 2 coming off the line. If you want to know more about it, you can watch my previous video on this engine, and you'll see all about it there. So now we're going to have to pull this off. Now I did pull a flywheel on a 1986 Autocat Cougar, which is a 500cc air-cooled, still oil injected. But this one is a little bit different. So I'm guessing we'll just put a socket in here and we'll be able to take this bolt right off and pull over the puller. Now my only concern is, I believe I have a thin enough socket, but you will see, because that is a very thin hole. I don't end up thinking I'm going to be able to use an impact socket on it, so that's unfortunate, but, you know, chrome sockets, chances of them breaking are limited to none, and hey, they have a lifetime warranty, so whatever. Got a socket on it. I don't believe I have one thin enough for my 1/2 inch impact. Well, actually, I probably do. So we're going to see if this the other 3/8 impact will take it off. If not, we'll go on to the 1/2 inch. And it takes it right off. This impact is actually my favorite tool I even own, even out of hand tools. Because of how handy and versatile it is, you can take this thing out for the socket and you put it in a screw gun. So that's how handy this is. Oh, and look, now this bolt wants to come out. I told you guys I had this moving before, see, and I wasn't lying. It comes right out. This one on the other end does not, so that's going to battle with vice grips and heat. I should have heated them before, but didn't think of it at the time, but now I thought of it, so you can use vice grips and heat if I can't get it out with just vice grips, and they should come out. So we're going to get our puller on that and hopefully yank this flywheel right off. And then underneath here is the stator for the charging system and spark, because you need that to run. So we're going to get the flywheel off and take a look in there. And now I do know the stator is good because everything was working before. So get this off and get right to it. Guys, quick little update video for you today. It is a different day, as you can probably tell. But I've been really working on trying to get this stupid flywheel off. I've been having big, real issue trying to get this one off. I've pulled multiple flywheels off of small engines, snowmobiles, lawnmowers, you name it. I've pulled it. But this one has been particularly very challenging for some odd reason. I don't know why. But finally, I got it off. I used a lot of PV Blaster. And then as you can see, these bolts are actually much bigger than what's supposed to be in there. That is because the small bolts, I was pulling with bolts that are like what's supposed to be in there. They broke off because I had to put so much force on it. And then drilled those out, retapped it, put a different bolt in about the size of this, but longer. They are just keep pulling out of the holes. And the bolts just keep stripping. They were not grade 8s, they were grade 5s. So maybe if I had grade 8s, they would have worked. These grade 8s were not long enough. So eventually I went and I used a bigger tap and tapped up so I could use these big bolts. Now these are only grade 5s, but they are much bigger and everything. So those actually worked, and I was able to get it off. So now I'm working on taking the stator off. So I'm gonna mark where these screws are. So hopefully I can, get the timing right when I put it back on. And then, as you can see here, this got a little bit chewed up. Right there, it got chewed up. I'm not too sure where that's from. And no, it is not from me, because there's no way I could have done that, redoing it, because I wouldn't have been able to get in far enough to do that. So I'm not too sure where that's from. Might be one of the reasons why it wasn't running right, other than the scored piston. So we're going to check into that. I believe I could probably just get a new one of these, because you can see it just screws in. So we'll have to check Dennis Kirk. That's where I get majority of my snowmobile parts, and then sometimes I cross-reference them to like eBay or something, so that way you can maybe get a cheaper price. But usually Dennis Kirk is half decent prices, so they make it a lot easier there, and it's a good company to buy from, I think. So anyways, I'm gonna try to get this off so that way I can pull this cover off. So hopefully I can separate the bottom end, and that'll be the end of this video, because this video I'm sure is gonna be getting long. If I were to rebuild this whole engine in one video, it'd probably be like an hour video, and I don't think you guys want to watch that. So we're just gonna tear it down to the block, and then that's gonna be the end of this video, and then I'll start a new video and upload it the next week. Sorry guys, so I'm taking the stator off, and the Allen key bolts are very tight on it, and I don't have hex bit sockets or Allen key sockets. I'm definitely going to be getting some here very soon. Actually looking at some right now, but in the meantime, I'd have this. I took an Allen key and it fits it, but it was very hard to get it off. So you know how they just curve at the top. So what I did is I cut it off, and now it's just straight, and I found a socket to fit it. And so now I can put it in my impact, and I can put it on this bolt, and it takes it right off, you can see. Also, I originally tried to put spray paint on it to have it so the silver part would be where the bolt goes. That didn't work out too good, probably because there's oil and stuff on it. So then I took a pick and then I marked it, so that way our timing is spot on, so we don't have to take the flywheel off once again once I already get it on. It shouldn't be that hard to get it off again because I already had it off once, but we just don't want to have to deal with that kind of headache, so we're going to mark it so we don't have to deal with it. And this one, let me tell you, this one is on tight, so I might have to break this one loose by hand. But hey, there you go. You can see I got the stator off. I really got to clean this workbench up, especially all these metal shavings. Definitely do not want those getting in the engine. That'll just totally ruin the engine. But as you can see, I got the stator off. I'm going to put this on the voltmeter. If you don't know, there is a way you can test it. I don't know it off the top of my head, but all you have to look up is how to test a snowmobile stator. Or check in your service manual. It's probably there, so that way you can figure out how to test a stator if you're unsure if that's your problem. But you can see here we got all these Phillips screws here, so I'm not going to use an impact for those. I'm going to try to do it by hand because I do not want to strip those out. Don't want to risk it, so because that would be a pain to drill out. It definitely can be done. I just don't want to have to do it. Alright guys, so these things are in there very good, so and they are on there very tight, so I'm not going to mess around, and I'm going to heat these things up, and hopefully that'll work because we are replacing this crank seal anyway, so not too worried about messing up the seal or anything, but we'll get these things heated up and hopefully it'll come off. Alright guys, so with a little bit of heat and PB Blaster, I was able to free up all but one of these screws to hold this shroud on or housing. So this one I might have to end up drilling out, or we might be able to get away with just separating the bottom half, and then this piece will stay with the top half of the block, so that way we don't have to actually pull it out. No, sorry, we actually are going to have to drill that out because now that I noticed that this sits on here, so without this you probably aren't going to be able to get it out, so that has to sit flush. So this is recessed, so that can go in there, so we're going to have to actually drill that one out, which I'm not excited about at all because I'm drilling into this block, and if I drill in too far I could potentially ruin the block. So I'm going to take all these out. All these are loose. I already started taking two out, so I'm going to get it out, and hopefully I don't drill too far into the block. I'm going to mark it on my drill bit, be safe. I might actually just get a big drill bit and just drill the head out, and that way I'll just have the thing there, so that way I can get a good look at it and make sure my drill bit does not go through the block, because that would not be good. There you guys can see I did get it off. Here's the cover. I just took a big 1/2-inch drill bit, and I took it and I just drilled the head off, and it, I drilled in far enough, and then I took a smaller drill bit, drilled in a little bit, and I was able to crack the head off. So hopefully I can use a pair of vice grips, get that off. Or I'm pretty sure these are stainless steel, so I'm not going to be able to weld like a nut to them, because I don't have a welder that can weld stainless. So I guess I'm going to try with the vice grips. If not, I'll cut it, drill it, and tap it. Because I think this might actually not go to the block, so if I were, definitely not ideal to drill through it, but if I were to drill through it, I don't think it would be the end of the world, but definitely not trying to. Alright guys, so I got this all off. I actually was able to get the crank seal out. I thought I was going to be able to separate the block. As you can see, it's started to. Right there. And this whole thing separates so you get the crankshaft out. And I was starting to separate it, and I was prying just a little bit here, not digging into the aluminum, or, didn't want to try to crack it, because if it wasn't going to go, it's not going to go. And couldn't get it apart. Started looking, and about 10 seconds later, I realized there's a plate back here that also holds the two together, probably with screws also, machine screws. So we got to get this clutch off. And my original plan was not to get the clutch. Well, my original plan was to get the clutch off. Then it was really struggling me. It was really fighting me the whole time. So I decided it's not worth it to get the clutch off. And if this crank seal was to ever go, which this one, I did drill a hole in it. I wanted to see if I could get it out without separating the block, but I couldn't. Maybe if I really tried, I probably could. But this crank seal doesn't look too bad, so at first I wasn't too concerned about it. But now, I gotta pull this side anyway to get the clutch, so I'm gonna be putting my new crank seals in anyway, this side. But that means I'm probably gonna have to get a special puller, or I'm gonna try to make one. I think I'm actually gonna try to make one first. I just gotta do some research, see what they look like and everything. And then we can hopefully pull this clutch off and separate this crankshaft, clean it all up, because I know there's dirt in here from tearing it apart. This motor is filthy. I should have cleaned it up better, but anyway, I know there's like parts of broken gaskets. I know there's grit in there and everything, so this has to come apart because I don't want my motor I don't want to have to tear it back apart because I was lazy and didn't tear it all the way apart. So I'm going to do this right again, as I said, for like the 20,000th time, but we're going to do it right, and hopefully this motor should last. So I'm going to pound this in a little bit so that way you don't have too much stress on the aluminum here, and figure out some way to pull this clutch off. Oh yeah, also real little quick update here on this side. I mentioned how the screw, I had drilled it out, drilled the head off, and it was stuck in there, so I was saying we're probably going to have to cut it off and drill it. Actually, I took my as soon as I took the cover off, after I stopped the camera, I took my hand, and the thing was loose, and I just screwed it right out. So I'm not exactly sure why it got stuck. It must have actually got stuck inside the cover. Like, the head must have been corroded to the cover or something, because it was obviously not corroded in this aluminum. So I don't know what was going on there, but we got it apart. Got the stud off real nice, or the screw out really nice. So gonna have to end up getting a new one of these. This is actually a good one, but gonna have to get a new stainless screw. I might actually have one of these brand new stainless still in the bag. So, but I'm gonna have to end up pulling this clutch again, as I said. So catch you back then when I figure out a solution.